Today's horrible. Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we've got a 2014 Ford Focus, and let's just say it's seen better days. It's a family car, it's had children in it, and it is in one of the worst states I've ever seen inside. Not only the sight of it, the sticky steering wheel and just everything sticky, but the smell. And I think I've deduced that smell down to melted chocolate that's been sat on the passenger seat for ages. At first it smelled like sick, and then you realise it's just gone off horrible chocolate and whatever other food and makeup and whatever that's been left in there. So we're going to be sorting that out today. As you've already seen, it's had just a normal maintenance wash on the exterior. Wasn't clean. It had never been cleaned properly to the standard that I would clean it and other detailers would clean it, but it's been cleaned, so it was at a level. So that was nothing special. Got all that cleaned up, and now moving on to the interior. It is absolutely awful. So we're going to get into that today, get it all done. We're going to be removing all the rubbish, obviously, vacuuming everything. We're going to be scrubbing and wet vacuuming all of the seats to get rid of those stains and that smell. Also, any spilt things on the carpet. For the most part, the carpet should just be dirty, so we can drill brush that and we can hoover it up. But if there is, for any reason, some spilt stuff on the carpet, then we'll be getting the wet vac on that as well, just spot cleaning those areas. Yeah, let's get into it. As you can see, this car is absolutely filthy, and in fact it may well be the worst car I've ever worked on. By the looks of things, the previous owner of this car had children and was also a smoker, so this car is absolutely disgusting. Just everywhere you look, touch, it's sticky, there's bits, there's rubbish everywhere, spilt food, spilt drinks. This is going to be some task. So we start off by picking up all the bits of rubbish that are going to be too big for the hoover and chucking them straight in the bin. Just look at this. This is a little flap in the carpet that you can lift up to see the chassis number for the vehicle underneath, and it was just full with all sorts of rubbish. You could get your hand right under there and rubbish had just built up under the carpet for years and years. The new owner of the vehicle had told me just to chuck any floor mats in the bin because he was getting new ones anyway, and these things were a little bit worse for wear. There was so much rubbish that came out from the side of this driver's seat. Now this is an absolute saviour. It's a drill brush, it's an attachment that just goes in any power drill, and it's amazing for when you've got a car that's got this cheaper style of carpet that's a bit like Velcro. It just breaks up all the crap and tears it out the carpet, so it's much easier to vacuum up. I highly recommend getting one of these if you've got these types of carpets. Now onto the vacuuming, and I'm just doing my best to get down the side of all the seats into every crevice and get as much of that dirt out as possible before we go on with the wet vac stage. As you can see, I'm wearing a respirator, and there's two reasons for this. One, it stinks in this car, as I explained earlier in the video, but also I didn't want to be breathing in all of that dust and hair that had been kicked up by the drill brush. So when it comes to vacuuming these intricate areas, I've got an array of tools. I've got a soft brush, I've got a brush attachment for my hoover, I've got a wooden skewer, and I've also got some of these small toothpicks, just for getting into all of those different size crevices. That you can see there is just all sorts. It's food, it's oils off your skin, it's makeup. It's disgusting. Now, if you love detailing content, don't hesitate to subscribe. You'll get notified every time I post a video. And also give me a follow on Instagram. You'll see other stuff there, other posts, and you'll get updated as well every time I'm going to post a video. So we're going on now with the fabric cleaning solution. Mixed up about 8 to 1 just because of how dirty these seats are, and we're just going to let that soak in for a minute and do its thing. Also making sure to cover everywhere, including the back of the seats and the areas of the carpet that need scrubbing. Now we've got another one of the drill brushes. This one's flat and it's great for scrubbing upholstery. It really takes what you'd usually do with a handheld brush and makes it so much easier and quicker. Now it's time for the wet vac. Now what this does is it sprays out cleaning solution at the same time as sucking it back up. So what it's effectively doing is flooding the area, which lifts all the dirt and then sucking it up into the hoover, getting rid of it. Now I'm using a Karcher Professional machine. I can't remember the exact model name, but it's absolutely brilliant. I started off with a consumer sort of machine. It was a Vax machine and it did the job, but it just left the seats so wet where it didn't have that suction power. This thing, however, is absolutely brilliant. So after spraying spraying the fabric and hoovering up at the same time. We then just go over with just the hoover to get any remaining moisture out of the fabric. One thing I've learned in just a few years of doing this profession is it really does help buying the expensive stuff. Maybe not stupidly expensive, but the really decent stuff. You start off and you use what you've got and you make do and you think, yeah, this is all I need. I don't need to spend all that money on those expensive tools. Trust me, when you eventually make the leap and you dig into your pockets and you buy these tools, you realise how much of a difference they make to your productiveness, to the speed at your work. It just helps all round. And they're a pleasure to use as well. They don't go wrong, they just get the job done. This particular vehicle's got fabric armrests, so we make sure to get those as well, because of course they get pretty grubby. And just look at the colour of the water that came out the wet vac afterwards. That's all of the dirt that's come out of those seats. So when the car came in, the steering wheel had a cover on it, and after taking that off, you realise just how dirty this thing is. So it's covered in this grey, it's like a grease, and it's all the stuff, all the dirt and oils that come off your hand, and it builds up and it goes sort of grey brown. And you see it a lot on, especially in builders' vehicles and stuff like that, where they are getting in with dirty hands, and it tends to build up quite a lot. But to combat that, we just got a relatively stiff bristle brush and some all-purpose cleaner, which is really going to help to break down that grease, meaning we can mop it up with a microfiber cloth. Then we can come along with the compressor and use the compressed air to blow out any trapped water, and then mop it up with a second microfiber cloth. At the same time, using that cloth to buff up any of the metal components, just so they're not smeary. And then it's pretty much the same process for the door. Apologies for the lack of continuity here, but I had to move out the bay because, as we'll see in a minute, I've got another car in there. But this is how I clean glass. So on the side windows, you're going to drop the window just so you can get to the very top bit. This is where a lot of the dirt likes to build up. Then you're going to give it a good scrub with some glass cleaner, and then just come along with another cloth and buff that off. Then put the window back up and come along with one side of the cloth that's got cleaning solution on it and give the window a good scrub. Then with another cloth, give the window a buff until there's no streaks and it's nice and clean. say that when it comes to cleaning glass, it's so important to use a decent glass cleaner. Realistically, you want a glass cleaner that smells like it's got a lot of solvents in it. So that means that it's going to evaporate quickly and there's going to be no residue left behind. So there's going to be no streaks. Next, we're going to give the paintwork a wipe over with some quick detailer, just to get rid of any fingerprints, any light dust that's landed on the car, and give it a nice shine before it goes back to the customer. I've got one cloth that I've already sprayed with some quick detailer. I'm going to go over with that and then switch to a dry cloth and buff it off. Then the exterior glass, this is done exactly the same way as the interior. And the final touch is to give the tyres a dressing. Now I'm using Alien Magic Slick. I love this stuff. If you want the tyres glossy, you put loads on. If you want them satin, you put a little bit less on. So it's brilliant, it works all round. And I'm using, to apply it, the Carscope tyre brush. Now I saw this thing on, I think, TikTok, and I decided to buy one. I found it on eBay. It was only about £8. But it's absolutely brilliant. It works really well for getting into all of those little areas on the tyre. Simple. Just in case you've forgotten, this is what we started with. It was a car full of rubbish. Everything you touched was sticky or slimy. It was absolutely disgusting. And this is what we managed to make of it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.